Hi friends, it's me Amar, and I have a very personal update that I'm sharing with you. As I have spoken about in my newsletter and on several of my videos, I have recently left Colorado, where I've been for the past 5 years with my sister and brother-in-law, and I have returned to my childhood home in Wyoming to stay with my dad. And what started out as a contingency plan, when I found out it was time to leave Colorado, my sister and brother-in-law recently decided to put their house on the market. And so it was time for me to go as they were preparing to get it ready for showings and eventually to sell. I had to make other plans. And I had a lot of ideas. I had a lot of hopes. And my contingency plan was, okay, if none of these other opportunities work out, then I can always go back to Cody and stay with my dad. Slowly but surely over time, all of the other options fell through, and what was once my contingency plan became the only option that was really viable. So through the course of planning to return here and live with my dad, it became clear to me that he is having cognitive functional issues and big problems with his memory. There is not an official diagnosis yet. But what the doctor that I spoke to several weeks ago shared with me is that, in his opinion, unofficially, it looks to him like the early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. This is something that wasn't surprising, although I was shocked, because over the course of the past few years, my sister and I have both remarked like, hey, I think something's going on with Dad's memory. He seems to be forgetful. He seems to be mixing things up. But then the next time we would talk to him, everything would be fine. My understanding is that this is normal as the decline into dementia or Alzheimer's begins. And so we would question at one point, like, this seems to be more than just a function of, like, aging and getting old and, having memory lapses. This is starting to seem like something more. But then every time we would talk to him after that, he would be fine and everything would be clear and it would seem like he was back to normal. Because my dad is kind of a lone wolf, he's always done his own thing. He's always been very independent. I don't talk to him regularly. Once every month, maybe every 2 months, my sister and he chatted about the same frequency. So we didn't really have a super clear context for what was a normal baseline function of his memory on a day-to-day basis because we weren't talking to him every single day or even every single week. Anyway, through my conversations with him, as I was preparing to move back up here, it became clear that there was a much bigger reason for me to return to Wyoming. I knew this intuitively. There was this little voice that kept saying to me, like, yeah, this is where you're going. Your dad needs you. But I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to hear it. And I was doing everything I could to deny that and to just kind of brush that voice away. And I was hell-bent on going anywhere else but back here to Wyoming. There's a lot of additional issues that he deals with. He's a borderline hoarder, as you can see behind me. His house is packed to the gills with stuff. He lives by himself. He doesn't have a housekeeper. He doesn't have a regular social circle. Ever since COVID, he has slowly become more isolated and more solitary. So it became clear to me as I arrived here that there were much bigger issues and much bigger problems, and I have essentially transitioned into the role of caregiver for him. This is not something I'm trained for. This is not something I'm qualified for. And his cognition is still good enough that he can function on the day-to-day. We don't have an official diagnosis yet. We have an appointment with a neurologist next month, and we'll know more at that point. But it's clear to me that something is going on. My sister and I have since assumed power of attorney for him. So now I am in charge of his medical wishes. I am in charge of his finances and in charge of his estate. My sister as well. So we are kind of tag teaming along with his brother, my uncle, to make sure that my dad has everything taken care of. Without going into too many personal details, his life is a mess. His living situation is less than desirable. It's almost impossible to navigate through this home because it is crammed with so much stuff. Over the course of the past few weeks since I've arrived, I've slowly been introducing him to the concept of us needing to minimize some of his possessions. But as anybody who has experience with hoarders understands, that is very difficult for him. So I have essentially become the parent, and I am now transitioning from the role of child to caregiver. We have begun to explore assisted living options for him. That is something that he is sort of open to, but he even realizes that something needs to change and that he can't take care of himself. There's a waiting list for the assisted living home. There's only one here in Cody. I don't think my dad is open to leaving. And so at this point, we're just kind of in a holding pattern and waiting for things to develop. The reason that I share this with you is because you may see my availability with booking private clients that may be minimized as I take on a whole lot more responsibility in the day-to-day of cooking and cleaning and just caring for my dad. You may also see my creation of content here on my channel that may also be a bit sporadic. You know, it's so ironic. Just over the past month, I have found this reinvigorated excitement for creating my channel, for creating content for you, and for bringing you the support and the guidance that I have been, blessed to be able to do for you over the past 12 years. But like the saying says, when we make plans, God laughs. And this is a cosmic joke of epic proportions. It seems just as I was beginning to bring my practice back to life, something else came in and God had other plans. So it's an honor for me to be here. I'm humbled by this opportunity, and I'm glad that I can be here because my dad needs someone to help him, and it's better me than some stranger or someone that I don't know. So that's me just sharing with you the latest. I have, in an attempt to make sense of it for myself, because I am a creator, I am a writer, I am an artist at heart. I have started a secondary YouTube channel. I have also started a blog where I'm going to be sharing my experience with my dad and caring for him in real time, because honestly, I am the only one here. I do have the support of family and friends from the outside, but I'm the one on the front lines. I'm the only one here on the day-to-day, and it's a lot. It's overwhelming. It is oftentimes frustrating. I go from being furious and angry to, humbled and blessed. I find myself crying out of nowhere. I'm emotionally all over the place. So the way that I make sense of that is by creating content. The way that I make sense of that is by pouring that into some sort of artistic creation, because that's how I make sense of it for myself. And that's how I find a center point for myself within the chaos and the storm that I am currently navigating. So I'll share all of that information with you below here in the description. So if you're interested in following, it's a secondary YouTube channel and a blog. I may have additional social media channels at some point, but right now I'm just doing it because it is a lifeline that I can throw to myself. It's a way that I can begin to find some sort of sense of all of this. And then as well, I will continue to create content for my Amar Energy channel as I am inspired, as I am able, and as I can find the time and the energy to do so. Right now, after a full day of cooking and cleaning and caring for him and being the errand, the one running errands with him and, driving around, a lot of times I just don't have the energy at the end of the day. So I will continue to do what I can as I can. And I appreciate your continued support and your understanding. If you have anything that you're curious about, I'm an open book and will continue to share in whatever way I feel guided to. And like I said, if you're interested in following this journey, feel free to follow my secondary YouTube channel and my blog. I love you. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. Mwah. Talk to you soon.